So I'm going to walk you through how to run the add-on I created called Name Those Docs. Name Those Docs is a way to create a whole boatload of Google Docs that are named after a roster that you have on a Google Sheet. So instead of creating them individually, this is really great for creating batches of class files. They are a blank file and then you can fill them in, but then you can create them for your students. I created this to accompany doc appender so that you can take away that creating all the documents step at the beginning, or at least you can make it a lot easier. If you go to this site here where it says, bit.ly gif name those docs, it will give you templates for all the versions, and they all vary very minutely. So it depends on how the names are entered, whether the full name is in a single column or whether they're in two columns, and how you want students to be able to access them. So some of them are view only, some of them are edit access, and some of them don't give the students access at all. So I'm just going to use the last one because I think that's the one for my purposes and the teachers that I work that they'll use the most. So you're going to click this template and it's going to open up a view of the file. You go up to the corner and say use the template. It will create a copy of that in your drive. And from here, you have a few options. You can either manually enter student data in here, or you can upload it from another source. So for example, if I have, let me just go over here, 1 second. If I have a whole bunch of data already, and these are people on the team I work with, I can come in here, I copied it, and I can paste the data. So I have the student numbers, their first name, and their last name. And once I have the data entered, again, either manually or copied and pasted from another source, often like a comma separated value or maybe an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it happens to be, I'm going to go to add-ons. And you'll notice that it'll say name those docs version. Sometimes it says version, hopefully for consistency. Sometimes it might just say a letter, and you're going to go over here and click start. If this doesn't appear, you might have to wait a minute because it does take a bit for the script to catch in, or you might want to refresh the document. But you're going to click start, and then on the sidebar, before the sidebar pops up, you're going to get authorization. So this is where it says, okay, we want to use a script. Is that okay? And this is slightly different than a script you'd normally see, and I'll explain why in a second. You're going to choose the file, and it's going to say this, the app isn't verified. So in order to have this verified, I'd have to go through and write a terms of service and a privacy policy and a lot of legal stuff that I'm quite frankly not going to invest time or money into. So just let it be known that I do not have any access to this. It's completely yours. It's just the script in the background, so it is safe. So you don't want to go back to safety. You want to click advanced, and then you're going to say go to name that docs, and it just says it's unsafe again because it's not verified. It's safe. There's no bugs. I am not a good enough coder to code a bug or any malware. So from here it'll say what we're going to do, and so it shows you it's going to manage files. It's going to run third-party web content for sidebars, and that's the one that I've created. You can click allow. And now a sidebar is going to pop up on the right. And it says, welcome to Name Those Docs. I created this with a lot of help from Alice Keeler's folder maker code. And it also her make copies code. I used both of them. So thanks, Alice. Big shout out. I took her Go Slow course to create this, and it was totally worth the investment for me. So like I say here, copy or type your roster down in columns A, B, C according to the headers. And then press this button. So when you press Make Docs, the first pop-up will come and it says here, what do you want to name the teacher folder? And this is where all these student docs we're going to create will go inside. So I'm just going to call this like student docs. And then the next thing you'll be prompted to do is say, okay, do you want any text to appear afterwards? So for example, if you're going to use these documents for a specific purpose, so to track observations or for a subject, you could put, like dash observations. You can also leave it blank and just hit OK, and that's fine too. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. And now the magic happens. You'll notice that 3 things appear here. So that's the name of the folder. that's a link to the folder, and that's the ID code. And then it'll start populating down these rows the name of the document, the alphanumeric code, and then a link to the actual document itself that you can click. And so this is sort of a one-stop shopping for all of the documents if you want to access them quickly. So as you can see, rather than creating them all individually, this ran my roster, I'm good to go. And if I actually click into the folder, it does go under my drive. You can now drag it anywhere you want in your drive, but that's where you'll find it. And all the student docs have been created. They are just blank documents. They don't have anything in them, but they're named after the students, so you can enter any data or they can enter the data. And in my case, I would run this using Doc Appender, which is a really great add-on by New Vision's Cloud Lab. And that is Name Those Docs. Like I said, there's a few different versions, and I've just pasted a little flow chart on how you can choose which version might be best for your purposes. And if you want a look at these, that's not a video, but a step-by-step with screenshots, you can always go to virtualgift.com, and I have it all there. So hope this helps, and you can use it to improve your practice and be able to communicate well with students.